Alrighty then. So today I'm going to I don't know, talk to you. Because there's two ways to really do these types of vlogs. Either you have some sort of thing set out, like a script of what to say, or you kind of wing it. And typically the script thing works better, but I'm going to wing it today because I've been really busy trying to study for finals because it's finals week and it's crazy and everybody's like, ah. And I really miss sleep. And next Thursday, when all of this is over, I'm going to go and crawl into my bed and not get up until like 4 p.m. instead of getting up at 4 a.m. Yeah, I have been staying up and really working the graveyard shift to try and make sure that I do well on finals because school is really important. But that's kind of a funny thing because the graveyard shift is a funny term because it came from in England that they kind of were running out of land to bury people in. So they started to go and take out the coffins and basically reuse the coffins or reuse the ground plots. But when they're taking out the coffins, they noticed that there were a lot of scratch marks on the inside. Sorry. There were a lot of scratch marks on the inside because people had been buried and they were alive and then they were trying to get out. So what they started doing was, to kind of make sure that when someone was buried, it was because they were dead and not because they had passed out and their friends just totally didn't catch on. Sorry. So I started tying a string to someone's wrist, and then they would bury the person, and the string would run up to a bell that sat next to each grave. And the graveyard shift was basically someone who got to walk around the graveyard listening in case any of the bells started ringing. And personally, I think that that had to be a really creepy, scary job. Pretty frightening. But hopefully, it saved a couple lives or stuff. Um, kind of interesting and similarly, uh, thinking about English people and burying things and the creepiness of working in the graveyard shift and stuff. Vampires. At the time, people believed they believed vampires were real things, which some people still do, but I'm ignoring those people for the purposes of this conversation. Um, and the British would think that certain people were more inclined to become vampires. If you were someone who gambled, someone who sinned in general, if you were a promiscuous female, if you were a redheaded female, if you were a female of a certain heritage, if you were the child of a promiscuous female, if you didn't get married properly, if you died under certain circumstances, such and such and so forth, or whatever. But all of these things were supposed to make you more likely to become a vampire. Um, and it's kind of interesting because, first of all, they obviously weren't living in the most hygienic of circumstances, so people kind of got sick really easily and could get bit by vermin and such. So that's kind of where the whole, oh, well, vampires can turn into animals types of thing came from. I also imagine that would be really creepy to be whenever it would flood and all of the bodies that were near the surface in the ground would wash up and then it'd be there's your uncle that you buried a week ago floating by your house and it looks like they're still alive. Kind of creepy type of thing. Um, but the weird thing is they would bury people face down. So when you die, the blood goes to leave the body through the path of least resistance, which if you're face down, it would be through the mouth because it's like pointed down or whatever, so it's really easy. So then, they'd go and they'd be like, oh, well, we think this person's a vampire, go and dig him up and find out that there's all this blood there, and they'll be like, it is a vampire, when really it was just that someone had died. So there's kind of a couple of creepy things about English graveyards that you probably didn't know before, but hey, maybe you've learned something interesting. And I'll try and see you guys tomorrow, and I'm sorry that my videos are probably going to be spotty until finals are over, but finals are really important, and unfortunately they are more important than making these videos. So I wish those of you who have finals good luck, and those of you who don't, well, go enjoy that. Bye.